Stop the cap.
I'm sitting here listening to Tariq Nasheed's, or I just finished listening to it as I was driving. Listening to Tariq Nasheed's video on should street dudes address social justice, because everybody's over here talking about the whole Daniel Penny thing, which again, I disagree with Tariq on that front. I got a video talking about that. Disagree. There's crazy people pushing people on the railroad tracks and stuff like that in the subway. If you work in the city, pretty much everybody has seen them. Homeless people that have mental illness. Nah, it's a problem. I don't have any issue with Daniel Penny. I just think that, like most people, they don't know how to do, a proper chokehold to cut circulation off to the brain so that the person passes out, and he ended up closing his windpipe. But I really do appreciate, because Tariq used to get on my nerves with all that Mac lessons and get money from a bitch and everything, because you can't talk about patriarchy and family and proper structure, and you out there talking about running game on bitches, or trying to sell Mac lessons. I couldn't stand that shit. But people call Tariq a grifter and everything. I don't even pay that any mind. I focus right on. Hold on, let me put this on Do Not Disturb. I focus right on the material of substance that he's talking about when it comes to politics and the just overall black empowerment. But anyway, he did a really interesting video where he was talking, where the question came up. I guess it was a clip from one of his lives, but the question came up about whether street dudes should handle social justice, right? Because I guess somebody suggested it because it's like, oh, well, when black people are out here getting fucked up by the police, or something happens, or some white supremacist does something, that, the street dudes, they should step up and they should, respond and do something. And Tariq, he gave his explanation starting back in the 1960s and 70s, which, I appreciate his education on the subject. Captain Solo's a little bit older than he is, but they're about the same age. So I've already heard these conversations from Captain Solo, because I used to ask the same questions about, where things fell apart. We brought up, the topic about, people like doctors used to live in the neighborhood, right? Because it was Jim Crow. Like, black people couldn't just up and leave and go live in the white suburbs, and, splits all the community up. Then you got urban renewal, where they demolished many black communities to build highways and shit like that. And then you throw in Vietnam, you know what I mean? Like, even Cap, one of the things that Cap brought up was you had a lot of veterans in the community, whether it was, World War II, Korean War, or Vietnam. And he brought up how, if a black man, that was a veteran, was, let's say you were in a diner and there was a bunch of young black men, and it was a middle-aged or a slightly older man, and he had a missing arm, and he was like, hey, could y'all pipe down? Them young boys would pipe down. Like, they wouldn't get loud with them. Now imagine that today. Imagine a black man with one arm, that's older, telling a bunch of young niggas, to pipe down. You already know that they're going to act a damn fool. You already know, right? Because, there's so much, culturally that's broken currently with the black community, because, that structure that existed, in a post-World War II booming economy no longer exists. So you got, deindustrialization followed by the crack era, you know what I mean? Followed by, the real wide separation that took place in the 90s between street culture and the quote-unquote educated lames and all that. I want a man that's making six figures and everything, leading all the way up till, today. And, so, going back to what, one of the things that Cap pointed out was, you had veterans in the community. You think about shit like Deacons of Defense. Those weren't street dudes, they were veterans. And veterans across the board, veterans were in both demographics. You had veterans that were street dudes, and you had veterans that would be considered, squares or lanes, right? So, I'm listening to Tariq and, him break the stuff down. And I think that while he can give a good history lesson of how things were back in the 70s, when we talking about street dudes today or street niggas today, it's a totally different conversation. These young niggas out here are on some different shit. There is no real organized crime like that with the young boys. The young boys are out here chasing clout, shooting each other over beefs that they have on social media, drill music, right? I mean, all this real goofy shit that really doesn't have anything to do with getting that illegal paper so that you can take care of your family. It's a lot of bullshit in the game where it's not tied, like none of these people are tied to, multi-generational stability. You know what I mean? Or a strong sense of family like that. Most of them are raised by single mothers. Shit's all broken. They don't even have positive male role models in their life. So, I gotta disagree with Tariq, even though, he's from the streets and everything. He's from a totally different era. Okay? All that shit that you see going on in Chicago, all that King Vaughn type of shit, you know what I mean? Like that's a different animal than what he's talking about in, what took place in the 1970s. Today, I personally, I think the question is more of a rhetorical question. It's more like, because whenever, and I agree with him, a lot of times the people that are getting fucked up, you'll have people who are squares, and they'll be like, oh, why aren't you doing anything? To me, it's a rhetorical question, and I say it's a rhetorical question because it's like anytime black people who are in the square category bring up any sort of racism or social injustice that happens, what's the first thing that white supremacists do? What's the first thing? Well, what about Chicago? What about the Chicago? Now, the squares don't have anything to do with that, but that shit does go on. And that's white people's Captain America's shield to any time black people label a criticism against their racism, or their system. So the black educated lanes and squares that are actually trying to get, some sense of justice or some sense of empathy that they shouldn't even really be looking for, the deflection goes to, well, what about Chicago? And so why doesn't the people in Chicago, why don't they go handle, George Zimmerman? How come, there's no response in the black community, right? Because I think that one of the main problems is the black community, it doesn't have an enforcement arm. The shit is so broken. The only people that are about putting their hands on anybody are street dudes. And the street dudes, they don't respond to anything that's outside of the streets. It's a bad look. If I go in the white community, like, y'all can say what you want about that black boy in Florida, the one that didn't really realize his life was in danger, that was walking in the white neighborhood. He might have stayed there. His family might have lived there, whatever. But the way that those white men pounced on him, and they were like, where are you from, blah, 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 because they didn't believe that he was there. Was it racism? Sure. But by the same token, those white men were still guarding their shit. They were still guarding their neighborhood. They were still policing their shit. They were still getting ready, to get with the get down. And you see this, like, yeah, you got biker gangs in the white community. You got, Hell's Angels and shit like that. But you also have white men that were veterans, white men that are about the 2A, white men that got families, right? We can talk about how all that's directly tied to, the gainful employment of black men and whether they're gainfully employed or not. If black men were more gainfully employed, you would see more of that. You would see more family-focused black men. But when you don't have gainful employment for black men, all you're going to have is just, black men that are just aloof. Those who want to get married but can't get married, and then you just have those in the streets. So it paints a very negative overall picture of the black community, right? So the white community has more of an enforcement arm. But one of the things that I agree with Tariq is kind of like, reminds me of the shit that goes on with the women. It's like when the women talk about the black woman is not protected, and then turn right around and talk about black women are killed every 5.5 hours by black men. Those 2020 numbers, right? And they demonize black men. I mean, do we feel any sense as men? Do we feel any sense of protecting black women after they, the divestors talk about bullet bags and they throw us underneath the bus, right? We look at them bitches like, bitch, you on your own. That's how we feel about this shit when somebody's talking shit. So I can fully understand what Tariq is talking about the way that people talk bad on street dudes and Pookie and the community, and then turn around and talk about, oh, why aren't you protecting the community from white supremacists and shit like that? Like, motherfucker, like, for real, right? I totally agree with him on that. The other thing, though, and this is what I don't get about ELs, and you know about me when it comes to black, I cannot stand the fact that of EL reputation, that we don't have we won't bust a grape in a fruit fight. I'm not gonna lie, I got a dark side of me that I wish, the Steve Urkels would just crash out sometimes. I really do. I'm not gonna lie. I wish the Steve Urkels, every now and again, there was a story in the newspaper of some Steve Urkel crashing out on a Pookie because Pookie fucked up. You know what I'm saying? Pookie underestimated some square. That's just me. I wish there was more balance in the shit like back in the 1960s, where it's like, yeah, that motherfucker ain't in the streets, but that motherfucker did 2 tours in Korea or some shit like that. That's not the one you want to fuck with. He's already got bodies on him. So it's like, hey, you don't want to do that. And it was a little bit more balanced back in the day. But now, you got all well, I went to college and, I majored in criminal justice, and all these motherfuckers, I'm an engineer, right? All these mediocre tutorial looking ass dudes. Man, ain't nobody worried about them. I mean, for real, ain't nobody worried about them. And what I don't get is, I look at it like this, okay? We live in post-1986. Why is 1986 important? 1986 was, I believe, the first year where Florida began dishing out CCWs. And since then, I mean, half of this country is constitutional carry, okay? It's not the 1970s anymore. Even when I talked to my own father, my father was like, basically, because he recognizes how much I'm about, the 2A. Like, I'm just at a point where my family just accepts the fact that I got guns and I have them on me. You know what I mean? And I remember one time I had to go to the post office. I was with my father, and he parked the car, and I had to take my gun off my hip and I had to put it in the center console. You know what I mean? And he was like, his eyeballs were bubbling and everything, because I don't never pull it out, but I had to pull it out because I had to run into the post office. You're not even supposed to be on a federal property. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, like, he saw the shit, and it was just, the watching his reaction. Like, he never really fucked with guns. Like he said, the only time that guns were, the only people in the black community that had guns were criminals and the police. That was it. There was no regular, black dudes out here that were carrying just to be carrying because, they worried about just random acts of violence or random acts of crime. That's new. That's some new shit, right? But the thing is like, I don't understand. It's just like with women. Okay, black men, they kill us every 5.5 hours. All right, bitch, go get a gun then. What's preventing you from getting a gun and protecting yourself? If you're so worried about black men killing you every 5.5 hours, get you your CCW. And what do you see with black women? They ain't about that life. Even though black women are like the largest growing demographic of people that have CCWs, but a lot of that was tied to Donald Trump getting elected and and Charlottesville and everything else like that. It wasn't tied to black women specifically feeling that they had to protect themselves from black men. But I'm just saying, when it comes to the divestors and the misandrist and the man-hating black women, I'm like, I'm tired of them bitches complaining. I'm like, bitch, get a gun. And the same thing applies to the EL population. Like, again, to me, it's more rhetorical because it's like, oh, so you got, because it's a bad look. You got all this smoke for other black men in Chicago, but you ain't got no smoke for when some racist shit pops off, right? You got no smoke for the shit. You see what I'm saying? Like when those people went down there with Ahmaud Arbery and they pulled up on the house, whatever that organization was. I don't know if it was the NFAC, but motherfuckers pulled up. And that might have been a mix of lanes and street dudes, but we don't know the details of it. But I'm saying, I think it's a bitch move to sit there and say, like you can't say as ELs, you can't sit there and say, well, why aren't you, and be serious, well, why aren't you going out there and protecting, the black community and getting and protecting, us from social injustices, right? And then you turn around 5 minutes later, how come these black women ain't on our dick? How come these black women don't want to get with us? I'm like, motherfucker, you just deferred the responsibility to another demographic of black men within your own community to handle your business. That looks insanely weak. Nigga, if I had a pussy, my pussy would be dried up. You see what I'm saying? Like, I don't understand where we are now, when it comes to, again, post-1986, over 50% of the states in America have constitutional carry or what's the other thing that's called? Constitutional carry, and then there's permitless carry. And then you have all the shall issue states because of brewing. Like, get your fucking paperwork and get your permit and carry a gun. I don't think any black man, EL or otherwise, should be out here walking around being fearful of white supremacists, being fearful of Ray Ray and Pookie. You can protect yourself. I don't understand it. I don't understand why you need Pookie to come through and protect you. Like, even with the New Yorkers, y'all running around crying and moping. I don't know why black women are standing at the front of the line on this shit. I get sick and tired of them. I thought they were done with us because, black men didn't vote for, Kamala in the numbers that they wanted us to. And yet, freaking Daniel Penny, gets off, which, again, I don't even think he should have been arrested, in my opinion. Okay? Because, if he didn't do anything and the dude actually went and hurt people on the train, you could get hit up for negligence as a strong, virile, male. You know what I mean? But that's a whole nother topic. But I'm saying all the black people in the liberal city and all this other shit, oh, you so worried about white supremacists and everything, and none of these Black Lives Matter black women or just black, squares in general are about the Second Amendment. You ain't trying to change no New York laws. You don't see no black politicians talking about, hey, we worried about white supremacy. We want to be able to protect ourselves. It's just a lot of whining and a lot of bitch-assness. If you that scared, you know what I'm saying, then you need to protect yourself. And then you got this situation where we don't want Pookie to have guns. Okay, if you don't want Pookie to have guns and you're not going to carry a gun, well, then who's the fuck is supposed to be doing the goddamn protecting? I say the same thing to black women. Black women will be like, we don't want black men having guns. Okay, so how you gonna talk about you don't want guns and then turn around and talk about the black woman is the most unprotected? Again, we got a lot of whiny bitches in the community. You know what I'm saying? There's just a lot of whining and shit. You can get a permit, get your shit, handle your motherfucking business. I don't get it. You know what I'm saying? Black people are always bitching about racism and white supremacy and everything. And the overwhelming sentiment of black people politically seems to be, we don't like guns. But it's weird because there's a lot of black people, they don't really even care what the Second Amendment says. They gonna have the fire on them regardless. They ain't lacking for nothing. I mean, hell, even when it comes to street culture, which a lot of squares listen to, in rap music, every other song is all talking about not being caught lacking and the ops and this, that, and the third, right? So I'm sitting here in 2024, I'm like, who the fuck is lacking? Like, even when I see a black person get caught up, you a black man and you in Mississippi and they find your body in the woods, I don't even, honestly, because people come in, they'll be like, how come you ain't talking about this? Because I done already said, I've been saying since I've been online that black men need to carry guns. I've been saying that. If you out here and you ain't carrying, if the story isn't, even if you get killed, I'll give you a fucking 21 gun salute if it's like, yeah, we found his dead body and next to him was a Glock 19 with the slide locked back and there were shell casings all over the place, but he was shot 5 times and still lost his life. I'm like, damn, that motherfucker went out like a G, right? That's what I would be saying to myself. He went out like a warrior, right? But you hear all this shit, random black men getting hung and accosted and shit like that. And I'm like, nigga, why was you lacking? You know what I'm saying? Like, ain't nobody talking about this seafood, this Sifo Bennett. This guy, I don't even know what his background is. What is he, Haitian or Jamaican? Down there with the racist white boys that went and they left, came back with a gun, and then he handled the business. And they trying to get him up on murder charges. I haven't seen any black people really jumping up and down, really trying to bring that case to light. Y'all out here, talking about Sydney Wilson, the basketball chick that she came out the room with the knife and, the Asian cop shot her. You know what I mean? He was hesitant. He didn't want to shoot her. But she came all the way down the hallway with the knife and then tried to slash him again. Crazy. Like, I'm tired of black people going out here like the boy that cried wolf, trying to Black Lives Matter certain events that aren't like you got to pick better battles. Every black death or every time a black person is killed by police, right, or has an altercation with a white person is not something that black people should defend. And I keep seeing this. You know what I mean? Like, I'm over here trying to defend black people against the white supremacists and their bullshit. But sometimes black people out here, they just be caping just to cape. And I'm like, no. I'm not, like, I'll sit there, I'll watch, police activity or active self-protection. I'm like, nah, this ain't the one. Nope. That looks justified. I'm not over there cooning like not Andrew Tate, Brandon Tatum. You know what I'm saying? Or Candace Owens and her abhorrent response to the Ahmaud Arbery death. You know what I'm saying? But black people got to learn to have discernment and pick better fights. And I cannot stand Black Lives Matter and these black feminist women who run Black Lives Matter that somehow speak for the entirety of the black community. If black men don't have a problem with it, bitch, sit your motherfucking ass down, because y'all bitches ain't gonna do shit. You ain't about that life. You're not the enforcement arm. You ain't got no guns, no firepower. You ain't protecting shit. Sit your ass down. What is with these black women who think that they're all powerful? What is this shit? Will y'all please stop and sit the fuck down? I don't want to see y'all up there and then you turn around. Oh, the black woman, we marching for y'all. Oh, we ain't going to march for y'all. Bitch, I didn't tell you to go up there. And I don't want you going up there trying to defend the ridiculous, making us look like some assholes in conversation. And then we're sitting there being keyboard warriors, going back and forth with the white supremacists, and there's videos of you foaming at the mouth about, oh, this is a tragedy, and oh, this is white supremacy, and oh, we gotta go and get fucking, the crumb lawyer and the ambulance chasers and all this other shit. I'm like, yo, cut that out. This videotape, the bitch was acting crazy, and the nigga was acting crazy, and no, this ain't a good look. No, it is what it is. The officer had to do what he had to do. You know what I mean? Like, damn, like, can't y'all pick some damn good cases? You know, where it's clearly like George Floyd, like, damn, nigga, can you get your knee off of his neck? You know what I'm saying? That's a good example. But some of these other examples, Sidney Wilson, bad example. Okay? Daniel Penny, bad example. Bad example. You know what I mean? But you get these black women that get up on the microphone and start just talking about, oh, the black and Martin Luther King, and shut up. Shut the fuck up. I can't say it. I can't express it enough. You know what I mean? But bottom line is 2024. We got the NYSERDA v. Bruen ruling. And in a minute, we about to have getting rid of magazine bans. We about to have getting rid of assault weapons ban. Black people, if America is so racist, and I'm not saying it isn't, because it is, but if America is so racist, black people should be armed to the motherfucking teeth. It's just that simple. Stop going out here crying, talking about, somebody needs to come and protect us. It's weak. Shut the fuck up. You know, you don't have to worry about racism when people think that you're going to shoot back. You ain't got to worry about that shit. Leave them niggas alone. They shoot back. Same thing with the Muslims. When the white people, they fucked around and found out. Remember when they were running around? Oh, I'm going to draw a picture of the Prophet Muhammad. Tee-hee-hee. I'm going to draw a picture of the Prophet Muhammad. Ooh, watch me do. Watch me do. Right? They was drawing all type of cartoons, having Prophet Muhammad cartoon drawing contest and shit. And what did them Muslims do? Every time the white people tried to do that shit, the Muslims was crashing out. You know what I mean? Them motherfuckers be in a big ass delivery truck, see a big ass crowd of white people. Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar! And they run them motherfuckers over. Yeah, I bet you won't be drawing no more pictures of the Prophet Muhammad. Now will you? Now will you? You know what I mean? Same thing, with other incidences that happen. Remember when that guy in Tech, they had a Prophet Muhammad to draw a cartoon contest, and that motherfucker drove his car through the police barricade and shit? Yeah, see? After a while, the white people was like, hey, man, like stop poking the bear. Even white people was like, yo, stop poking the bear. But it's my God-given right to draw a cartoon of the Prophet Muhammad. It was like, hey, man, it ain't worth it. Fuck it. Fuck it. You know what I'm saying? Because those Muslims will crash the fuck out over a cartoon of the Prophet Muhammad. You see? And when it comes to black people, you know what I mean? Like I said before, when it comes to all these mass shooters and shit, I have yet to see a white mass shooter pull up in the ghetto. Nigga, pull up on the block. You know what I mean? Pull up to the trap house. They don't. That was one of the points that Tariq made in the video. You know what I mean? They don't fuck with them. Usually, when you see these white supremacists and shit, they go out there fucking with squares and people that they know aren't going to be able to respond. Like that white dude that was following that black woman in the apartment complex, calling her a nigga. You know what I mean? Y'all remember that? She was walking, I think either he was walking the dog or she was walking the dog. He was just screaming at the top of the lungs, followed her all the way to the elevator. You know what I mean? Shit like that. You know what I mean? He ain't going... Motherfuckers like that ain't gonna do that shit to no black men in a predominantly black area. You know what I mean? Or do that, like pull up to Chicago. Anytime you see these guys marching, like the neo-Nazis and shit, when they was marching in fucking Orlando. You know what I mean? I'm like, no. Go down West Colonial. You know what I'm saying? Go to Pine Hills with that shit. Nah, they ain't gonna do that. You know what I mean? Same thing in Ohio, in Ohio when the Nazis was walking around. No. Don't stay up there in the short north. No. Go, fuck the nice part of Columbus. You know what I'm saying? Go to the hood part of Columbus. You know what I'm saying? You ever been to Columbus on New Year's? I've been to Columbus on New Year's, and I never heard so many gunshots. I mean, these motherfuckers have fully automatic shit. It sound like Beirut in that bitch. Yeah, and you know how the AK sound when you fire. It's like ka 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 ka. Ka 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 ka. Like I was like, damn. You know what I mean? I'm sitting there, I'm like, I'm on a balcony, I'm like, listening to this shit. And I'm like, are those fireworks? or those guns. You know what I mean? Like, they was having a good old time in fucking Columbus, Ohio. You know what I'm saying? So, and that was the hood. So, you know, when it comes to black people from the hood, they got what the fuck they need. It's the fucking squares that need the pep talk. All you, I went to college niggas, you need a pep talk. Why don't you have, you know what I'm saying, a freaking Shadow Systems CR920? Where is your Shadow Systems CR920? Where is your Smith & Wesson carry comp? Where is it at? Where is your piece at? Why are you walking around on some corny shit? I don't need to have a gun. If I have to have a gun, then clearly I'm in the wrong area. Like, again, weak shit. And y'all be the same ones talking about, these black women, they want Ray Ray and Pookie. How come they don't want me? They want Ray Ray and Pookie. At least Ray Ray and Pookie, they feel safe around Ray Ray and Pookie. At least he postures like he's going to have a response if some shit were to go down. Y'all over there talking about Ray Ray and Pookie, y'all need to protect us. Oh my God, that sounds so weak. That sounds so weak. You know, and a lot of y'all don't realize it. You hear my voice is struggling right now. That shit just all type of cracking. I don't know what the hell's going on. But, I mean, this is really all I got to say about it. I do appreciate Tariq's, you know, his education on, you know, the stuff with the, you know, the inner city and whatnot. You know, but because I always have, I don't know, man. I hate the fact that, like, everything is different now. Like, I hate the fact that the street dudes, you know, it's just young niggas now. There's no real organization there. I hate the fact that lames don't know how to respond. I hate the fact that, like, people keep trying to hold on to these sort of legacy organizations. People talking about the Nation of Islam or the Fruits of Islam. The motherfuckers that were in the streets, the dudes that were really some goons back in the 1960s and 70s, they are in their twilight years now. And I seen the new I think they were just the Nation of Islam, because Fruits of Islam, that's their enforcement arm. But from what I've seen, I'm not impressed. You know what I mean? Like, ain't nobody, it's a different time. It's a different time. I mean, fucking Nation of Islam is based right there in Chicago. And you see what's going on in Chicago. You got 14-year-olds on BMX bikes that'll blow your ass away. They out here catching bodies before they caught a body, if you get what I'm saying. You got virgins out here catching bodies. You see what I'm saying? That's how broken the shit is. So ain't nobody worried about, you know, any of these legacy organizations, Nation of Islam, Fruits of Islam, all that shit. Because the niggas in the street, the young boys in the street, they got extendos, they got blickied out, all type of shit. You know, they pulling out freaking AR pistols out of their pants and shit. Y'all seen that Stone Mountain video on YouTube? You know what I mean? My man had a pistol AR in his pants. You know what I mean? Like, they out here on some Rambo shit. It's a different day and age. It's different. You know, the firepower is, I mean, motherfuckers got lasers on they shit. They got, you know, fucking hollow suns on they shit. You know what I mean? They got shit that, you know, the old heads back in the day, they be out there with their, I got my J-frame revolver. I got my my 6-shot Smith & Wesson. These young boys out here with P80, you know, freaking Glock clones with 30-round magazines, drum magazines, lasers, you know what I'm saying, red dot sights. You know what I'm saying? It's a different day and age. You know what I mean? It ain't gonna be no, you know, cops show up and how many shots were fired. Oh, it was only, 10 rounds. Like, no, it's gonna look like with young black dudes, it's gonna look like fucking somebody went to the range and took that bucket that's got all the brass in it, and they just threw the brass all in the street. Just nothing brass all over the street. It's different. It's different. And I feel like there's a lot of old heads, because even listening to Tariq, you know what I mean? He talking like that, the old cats, and he's kind of got like this rose-tinted glasses out. I'm like, nah, man. These young boys out here got serious firepower. They got shit that'll go through the car door, go through you. Like, it's different. It's different. And to a degree, you got to put some respect on that. You got to put some respect on it. You can't just downplay it and ignore it and act like, oh, just because they're young boys and they're disorganized and all that. Hell, that makes them more dangerous. Back in the day, you had to get permission to take somebody else. You had to go through a shot caller because you was going to make the hot block. These young boys are emotional. They'll put you down just because they fucking feel like it, because they feel disrespected. It's a totally different day and age. Okay? They're wild like that. So, you can't play with it. That's all I'm saying. You can't play with it. Like that. I mean, I've already seen it. Even that case over there in Philadelphia, where they got the what the fuck was it? The 14-year-old boy that got killed at the bus stop, and everybody's like, oh, it's so sad. See, what people ain't telling you is that 14-year-old boy was on social media holding up guns, talking about what he's gonna do to his ops. The ops got to him before he got to them. You know what I'm saying? The shit is younger and younger. It ain't grown man shit. You got young boys out here with underdeveloped minds that got guns. So, got guns, no stability. You know what I mean? I think that 14-year-old boy's mother, I think she had 6 kids total and was living in an apartment, no man. That's what you looking at now. I'm just saying, you got to respect, the danger of it now. So, all that, I was an OG in the 1970s or the 1980s or the 1990s. These young boys don't give a fuck about who you were back in the day. You were old, dusty nigga, and that's how they look at it. And yeah, can an old dusty nigga in the crew get up on the young boys? Yeah, sure you could. You could if you were organized like that. There's some old cats that still get with the get down, but most of y'all don't. Most of y'all are out the game. You got kids that you're raising. You know what I'm saying? Like other people have retired. You got bad knees, bad hips. You ain't ripping and running like that. At best, you could put a stack on somebody's head. At best. But you ain't going to be out there like that. And yes, the young boys are disorganized and everything else like that. And many of them, if you pop one of them, they'll scatter like ants. But I'm just saying, it's too different today to make all these, try to talk about the streets as though the streets are the same as it was back in the day, and that the same rules of engagement apply. They don't apply. The shit is too broken. Even the streets have lost control of the streets. So, anyway, that's all I got to say. That's my video. SWP out. I'm not going to say it no more. I probably will still say it. But I'm saying I'm not going to argue with people anymore. Don't come to me talking about some black man was randomly killed in some random podunk town in Arkansas or some shit. Like, I don't want to hear it. Where's his fire? Why don't he have any fire? If he dies, the only thing I want to hear is that there was a whole bunch of shell casings around, and his slide was locked back. That's all I want to hear. I don't want to hear nothing else. Ain't no way that black people out here getting lynched in 2024 unless you out here lacking. And my first question is, why are you lacking? Why are you out here with nothing but your ass? America is so racist. There's white supremacists out here, and there's Patriot Front, and there's Adam Waffen, and there's all different type of groups, and they out here hate, and black people at the top of the FBI statistics when it comes to violence, being victims of hate crimes. Okay, why are you lacking? Well, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, nah, It's amazing how black people be like, your ancestors died for you to have the right to vote. But somehow it ain't never, your ancestors died for you to have the Second Amendment. Somehow it's only the right to vote. It's only the right to vote. Which I don't even think is in the original Bill of Rights anyway. You know? Black people be up there, it's my free speech. Okay. I wish I saw black people go as hard in the paint for the Second Amendment as they do free speech. So, I mean, that's all I got to say about it, but I just wanted to give my 2 cents. That's my video. SWP out. Don't forget to comment, share, like, and subscribe.